It's recording here.
Take two.
Thank you, Caroline, for joining.
You're welcome.
With me, I'm a PhD fellow from India. I'm joined with Caroline, who is the right person to talk. If we talk about books, Parkers, and she is to share with some of parts of her journey in the school, and then we can go ahead with how books, how the culture of book reading is in Parkers, and then we can talk about how the book reading habit, is about going about in children and how technology is affecting it. So thank you, Caroline, for taking time out.
You're welcome.
So I want to ask you about how the journey actually started in Parkers.
I've always enjoyed books. I've always been a reader, and so I ended up going to college and I got my master's in library science. But it was it wasn't actually towards working in a school library or a library. It was towards I wanted to be an archivist. I work with historical documents, actual tangible things to hold. But that just didn't work out, and I ended up working in bookstores. I worked in bookstores in New York City and in Boston, and then I ended up in this area of the state working at UMass Lowell in the bookstore there. And when my husband and I moved out this way, I needed another job, and I ended up getting a job here at Parker, but not in the library, in the kitchen. I was a lunch lady here for 3 years, and the library position opened up, and so I decided to go for it. And surprise, surprise to the administration here, and they found out that the lunch lady had a master's in library science, and they needed a librarian. So that worked out really, really well. And so I've been here since 2015. I started here.
Till
Yeah, yeah.
And how do you see the culture of books? I mean, how children are really relating themselves to books, and is there a culture of books, and how?
It's difficult. It's an uphill struggle, really, fighting against. I I think I'm not an expert at it, but fighting against technology and social media and their attention spans are pretty short because that brain is not being used to open a book and read page to page to page, which takes concentration and focus. Um, and it's hard because the brains aren't used to it. They're used to these quick things, and so I get a lot of I don't like reading. They'll just tell me outright,
Yeah.
okay, what are we going to do about that?
Yes. And maybe you can talk about some of the experiences, some of the initiatives, and which you took in the school, and how well they are taken, and what are the successes, kind of, if I can say so.
Yeah. Well, they have a program here at Parker where in Division One, the kids are expected to 3 times a week. There's blocks where they just read for pleasure. There are no expectations about what they're reading. The teacher may come around and kind of ask, what they're getting out of it, what their favorite character is, and why, and just to get them to have a little deeper understanding of what they're reading. But after that, they're kind of on their own when it comes to reading, and it drops off.
Mhm.
So I have a lot of 7th and 8th graders that come in here, and my job is to find the right book for the right
Right, kid.
kid. And so many times it was easier a few years ago where they would come in, well, what have you read? What have you liked? And they're like, oh, I like this author, I've read this.
Mhm.
But I'm getting that fewer and fewer right now. So it's just general, what do you like as far as genres? Really, really broad questions to try to narrow it down. Do you like action? Do you like the romance? And then I can, you know, try to get that book into their hands.
And you were talking also about the blind date with the book and how it worked.
Right. So every February for Valentine's Day, that whole week, I wrap up just random books
Mhm.
in pretty pink with hearts and everything to make it really attractive. And I sign, and I call it Blind Date with a Book.
Right.
And that's exactly what it is. And the kids just jump at it.
Mhm.
I went through so many books last week or 2 weeks ago, and it's a pretty present. They want to wrap it up and be like, can I keep this? Is this keep it? No, it's a library book. And I just ask them to don't unwrap it until they leave the library and to give it a chance.
Mhm.
Read a couple of chapters.
Mhm.
Give it a chance.
But it's like they say that you can take the horse to the river, but you can't make him drink.
And that's right.
You can, you
You
can
can
get
put-
the children in the library,
Yep.
but you can't make them.
That's right.
But this is pretty cool. I mean, this is one of innovative ways that you can connect those children with the books
Mhm.
and introduce them to books, the world of books. And yeah, maybe you can think of some other ways as well, to innovative ways how we can really bring. We talked about how span of attention is affected by the use of technology and so use of social media. So that brings us to that essential question: that how we can really hold on to this habit of reading. And you have a huge collection of books in the library. And so how do you see what role Parker will play in this inculcating the habit of reading in books?
Yeah, it's just I don't know what else
Mm-hmm.
can be done. I mean, when it comes to being a good reader, you need to work that brain,
Right.
work that muscle, and just get a book in your hand and start reading, and get used to that long span of focus. So they do have that program called independent reading.
Independent.
And then I try my best with my displays to try to catch attention. So this Valentine's Day is one, and in April actually I promote poetry.
Poetry reading.
It is, yeah. April is Poetry Month, so I try that, and I try to do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Shell Silverstein and
That's amazing. I think we are done with. I'm not. I want to talk a little more, but you have your own engagements today, and I will follow up with the conversation maybe next Monday.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for
Oh,
joining me.
you're
It was
welcome.
fun talking to you.
Yep.
It was wonderful, really, because I'm a bookish person. I love to talk about books. So we'll catch up with you next Monday. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I hope it works. Yeah.